Okay, so you know that feeling, right? When it's freezing outside and your alarm is going off and you're like super cozy under the covers
Yeah.
and all you want to do is hit snooze.
Oh, yeah.
So many of you have sent in sources about early rising, and that's what this deep dive is all about.
Okay.
We want to help you win that battle against the snooze button, even if you have zero motivation. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of times we think we're just lazy if we can't get out of bed,
Yeah.
but it's really not that simple.
Right.
Our bodies run on this 24-hour clock.
Uh-huh.
It's called the circadian rhythm, and it pretty much controls everything when we sleep, when we wake up, even our hormones.
Wow.
And if we stay up late or stare at screens all night, it throws that whole rhythm off.
Yeah, it's like our bodies are ready to party, but our responsibilities are like, wake up.
Exactly.
Plus, there's that giant to-do list waiting for us, which makes hiding under the covers pretty tempting.
Yeah, it's this perfect storm of pressure.
Yeah.
But you know what can really help? Focusing on what you do the night before.
Oh, interesting.
Having a consistent bedtime routine is like setting your internal clock. It tells your body, okay, time to wind down.
You know, I used to think bedtime routines were just for kids, but I've noticed such a huge difference since I started doing a few things in the evenings to relax.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
I lay out my clothes for the next day, dim the lights an hour before bed, that kind of thing. It really helps my brain switch into relax mode.
It's amazing how much those little things matter. And have you ever noticed how the light from our phones keeps us up?
Oh, for sure.
Well, that blue light actually stops our bodies from making melatonin.
Melatonin.
That's the hormone that helps us get sleepy.
Ah, okay.
So basically, blue light shifts our internal clock, which makes falling asleep harder and waking up refreshed even harder.
So even if we manage to drag ourselves out of bed, we're starting the day at a disadvantage.
Exactly. It's like trying to run a race with weights on your ankles.
Makes sense.
A lot of people say to ditch your phone before bed, which, let's be honest, most of us aren't going to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
So instead, try things like a blue light filter on your devices, or even those blue light blocking glasses in the evening.
That's a good idea. So it's not about avoiding screens completely, just about minimizing the effects.
Right.
I've heard people say you should just shock your system into becoming a morning person. What do you think about that?
It sounds good, but I think trying to drastically change your wake-up time just backfires.
Really?
It's like going from never exercising to running a marathon overnight. You're just going to burn out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. So instead of trying to get up 2 hours earlier tomorrow, start with like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Once that feels good, add another 15 minutes.
Right.
The point is to make a lasting change, not to force yourself into something you can't keep up.
I love that. It seems way less scary than a huge change. But honestly, sometimes just changing the time isn't enough. We need a reason to get out of bed, right?
That's so right.
Like a why.
That why is what gets you up when it's dark and cold. But finding a why that really works can be tough. It has to be something you really want.
So it's not just about being up early. It's about doing something with that time that makes you happy or helps you reach a goal.
That's it. For example, one of my clients loves photography. Her why was being able to take pictures of the sunrise. That simple desire, because it was tied to something she loved, made waking up early something she looked forward to.
That's such a great example. It shows how personal that why needs to be. And I totally get that feeling of excitement for something special in the morning.
That's the key, shifting from dreading it to actually looking forward to it.
So how can people listening find their own why? Do you have any other examples that might inspire them?
Sure. I've worked with people whose why was anything from having time to meditate to finally starting that online course they've been putting off.
Right.
For some people, it's working out before the day gets crazy. For others, it's just having a quiet cup of coffee and reading.
There are so many possibilities. It's all about finding something that means something to you and connecting that to your early morning. One of the sources you sent talked about writing down your why and putting it somewhere you can see it. Do you recommend that?
Oh, yeah. It's super helpful to have a visual reminder of your goal, especially on those dark mornings.
It's like a little beacon of light, right?
Exactly. And speaking of light, let's talk about how it affects waking up. Light tells our brains it's time to get going.
Okay.
It stops melatonin production and starts making cortisol.
Cortisol.
That's our energy hormone.
Ah, got it. I definitely feel more awake when I get some natural light first thing.
Right. And when there isn't much natural light, a sunrise alarm clock is amazing.
I've heard those are great.
It's like your own personal sunrise, even if it's cloudy.
I love that. And it's way nicer than a jarring alarm, right?
Definitely. You know, another thing your sources emphasized, making mornings enjoyable, not a chore.
Yes. It shouldn't feel like a punishment.
Totally agree. If you hate your morning routine, you're not going to keep doing it. Think about it. What would make you excited to get out of bed? Maybe it's listening to music while you have coffee, making a delicious breakfast, doing some yoga as the sun comes up.
I've started listening to uplifting podcasts while I get ready. It's crazy how much more energy I have for the whole day.
That's fantastic. It's all about those little things that spark joy.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the snooze button.
Yeah.
It seems like a quick fix, but it can actually make it harder to become an early riser.
Right.
I'll admit I'm totally guilty of hitting snooze. Why is it so bad, though? Aren't we just getting a few more minutes of sleep?
Not really. When you hit snooze and drift back to sleep, your brain starts making sleep hormones again. Then when the alarm goes off again, it interrupts that and leaves you feeling groggy.
So instead of a more restful sleep, we just get more tired.
Pretty much. And that grogginess can last for hours, messing with your mood, focus, and how much you get done.
Wow, I never realized the snooze button was such a sneaky saboteur.
It is.
So how do we break this habit? I need all the help I can get.
One of the simplest things is to put your alarm across the room so you have to get out of bed to turn it off.
I've heard that, but I always just crawl back into bed. Any tips for staying up once I'm up?
Try going straight to the bathroom and splashing cold water on your face.
Okay.
It'll wake you right up. And you know what else helps? Having something you enjoy waiting for you outside the bedroom, like a nice breakfast or a good book.
Like a reward for conquering the morning.
Exactly. And speaking of rewards, it's so important to celebrate every win, no matter how small.
I like that. We tend to focus on the times we mess up, but noticing our progress, even the little things, can be really motivating.
You're so right. Maybe you didn't hit snooze for once, or maybe you just woke up 10 minutes earlier than usual. Celebrate those moments.
It's about recognizing our effort and building good habits, right?
Exactly. And those little celebrations help make it more likely you'll keep going.
So it's not just about waking up early, it's about enjoying the journey and recognizing our progress along the way.
That's it. And remember, setbacks are normal with any new habit.
Right, life happens, and there will be mornings when we don't meet our goals.
Of course. It's not about being perfect, it's about making progress.
So if we have a bad day, we just try again tomorrow.
Exactly. Just be kind to yourself and try again the next morning.
It's about being human, making mistakes, and learning from them.
Right. Building a new habit takes time and effort.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And it can be a really rewarding journey. So be patient, celebrate your wins, and enjoy the process of becoming an early riser.
I love that. Each morning is a fresh start.
Absolutely. And the amazing thing about early rising is that it unlocks all this extra time and potential that can change your entire day.
I can't wait to learn more about that.
Let's talk about how to make a solid routine that will help you succeed. You know, habits are like the structure that holds our lives together. When we're talking about early rising, it's kind of like building something.
Okay.
You wouldn't try to build a skyscraper in one day, would you?
Definitely not. You need a solid plan and to do it one step at a time. So how do we start building our early rising routine? What's the first step?
The most important thing is consistency. Remember how we talked about the circadian rhythm?
Yeah, that internal clock.
Right. Well, it loves regularity. Going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends, helps to keep it in sync.
Like setting a rhythm for our bodies to follow.
Exactly.
But let's be real, life happens. Sometimes there are late nights or parties, or you just end up binge watching Netflix.
Oh, yeah?
How do we handle those situations without messing up all our progress?
Being flexible is important. It's not about being super strict. It's about finding a balance.
Okay.
So if you know you'll be up late, adjust your wake-up time a bit. Maybe sleep in a little the next morning.
Got it. So give yourself permission to adjust, but don't abandon the whole routine.
Right.
What about those mornings when the alarm goes off and all you want is 5 more minutes? How do we get out of bed when we feel like that?
That's when your why becomes super important. Remember how we talked about writing it down and keeping it visible?
Yeah.
Well, when your alarm is going off, take a second to really connect with your why. Picture yourself achieving that goal, whether it's having a peaceful morning, getting a workout in, or just having time to enjoy your coffee before the day starts.
It's like giving our brains a preview of the reward we get for waking up. Right? It changes it from, oh, I have to get up, to, I'm excited for this.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
all about shifting from feeling obligated to feeling excited. You know what else can help? Dealing with that morning brain fog.
Ugh, yes. It's like my brain is half asleep even when I'm up and moving. What can we do about that?
Staying hydrated is key. Dehydration makes brain fog worse, so start your day with a big glass of water.
Okay.
It's like waking up your cells. And you probably heard this, but splashing cold water on your face really does help too.
I have. Does it actually work?
It's like hitting the reset button for your system. It wakes you up and gets your blood flowing, which helps clear your head.
Makes sense.
And while we're on the topic of getting things moving, let's talk about exercise.
Mm.
Even a little bit can do wonders for your energy and your mind. It sets a good tone for the day.
It doesn't have to be anything intense.
Not at all. A quick walk, some stretching, even just dancing to your favorite music for a few minutes can make a big difference.
I love the idea of a morning dance party. Makes even boring tasks more fun.
Right. And speaking of making mornings more fun, we should talk about adding in things that are good for your mind and body.
Definitely.
We're trying to make this a long-term thing, so early rising needs to be something you enjoy, not something you dread.
Absolutely. It should be like a gift, not a punishment. What are some of your favorite ways to make those early hours feel good and purposeful?
It really depends on the person. Some people like journaling, some meditate, some read something inspiring, some just like to have tea and watch the sunrise.
Right.
These little rituals can make a huge difference.
It's like a mini retreat before the day gets crazy.
Exactly. And those little acts of self-care affect how you feel the rest of the day, your mood, how much you get done, your overall well-being.
It's amazing how those little wins add up. So we've talked about self-care, but what about what we eat?
You're right. What we eat impacts how we feel and how much energy we have. There's a reason breakfast is considered the most important meal. It refuels you after not eating all night and gives you energy for the morning.
What are some good breakfast choices, especially for people trying to become early risers?
The best breakfast has a good mix of protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs.
Okay.
That combo helps keep your blood sugar stable so your energy stays steady.
Got it.
Think Greek yogurt with berries and nuts, oatmeal with fruit and honey, avocado toast with an egg.
Yum. That sounds delicious and filling. We should also make sure to stay hydrated throughout the morning, right?
Absolutely. Keep a water bottle with you and sip on it regularly. Even being a little dehydrated can make you tired and foggy, so staying hydrated is key for having good energy.
I have definitely noticed that when I don't drink enough water, I feel way more sluggish.
It makes a huge difference.
Okay, so let's talk about staying focused. Life is full of distractions. How do we stay committed to early rising when things get crazy?
Accountability can really help. Find an accountability partner, someone who wants to achieve the same thing and can support you along the way. It could be a friend, family member, or even an online group.
It's like having your own personal cheerleader.
Exactly. When you tell someone your goals and check in with them regularly, it helps you stay motivated and on track, especially when things get tough.
What about those times when you start to doubt yourself?
Yeah.
Everyone has moments where they wonder if they can actually do this whole early rising thing. How do we silence that inner critic and stay motivated?
Be kind to yourself. Remember, you're human, and everyone has setbacks. Instead of getting down on yourself for missing a day or hitting snooze, just try again tomorrow.
It's like we should talk to ourselves the way we would talk to a friend, right? With kindness and understanding.
Exactly. Progress is what matters, not perfection.
I love that.
Celebrate those wins, even the little ones, and remember that setbacks are just opportunities to learn.
They are. So it's about focusing on the journey, not just the end goal. And speaking of celebrating, how do we make those celebrations feel real and keep us going?
Reward yourself for reaching milestones, even small ones. It could be something simple, like a special breakfast, buying yourself a book, or taking a few minutes to do something you enjoy.
Like a little pat on the back.
Right. Those little rewards help keep you motivated and remind you why you're doing this.
I love that. Okay, let's tackle something a lot of early risers struggle with. The afternoon slump.
Oh, yes.
That feeling when your energy totally crashes and all you want is a nap?
Oh, I know it well. It's usually tied to our natural rhythms and how our bodies digest lunch.
So is it inevitable?
Not necessarily. There are things you can do to fight that energy dip and stay productive all afternoon.
Okay, tell me everything.
One thing that really works is taking short breaks during your workday.
Okay.
Instead of working for hours straight, get up every hour or so for a few minutes, stretch, walk around, or just close your eyes and breathe.
Like hitting refresh for your brain and body.
Exactly. It helps prevent mental fatigue and makes you more alert. And speaking of alertness, natural light is your friend.
Oh, yeah.
Getting natural light during the day, especially in the afternoon, can help regulate your circadian rhythm and fight off that slump.
So opening the blinds, going for a walk, even just sitting by a window can make a difference.
It really can. Natural light is a great energy booster. And remember what we said about staying hydrated?
Uh-huh.
That's super important all day long, not just in the morning. Dehydration can make you tired and foggy, so keep sipping that water.
Got it. Water is my new best friend.
It should be. Okay, let's talk about busy schedules.
Yes, please.
How do we make early rising work when we're already juggling work, family, social stuff, all of it? It's all about finding a balance that works for you.
Okay.
Figure out what your priorities are, and then plan your day around those. If early rising is important to you, make it a non-negotiable.
Like it's as important as a meeting or a doctor's appointment.
Exactly. Put it in your calendar, set reminders, and protect that time. And remember, it's okay to start small. Even just 15 minutes in the morning can make a difference.
Okay.
Once you're comfortable with that, you can gradually add more time.
So it's about starting where we are and building from there.
Right. This is a common question. How much sleep do we actually need?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Is there like a magic number?
I wish.
Unfortunately, there's no magic number that works for everyone. Most adults need somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of good sleep.
So we have to figure out what feels right for our own bodies.
Exactly. Pay attention to how you feel. You know, those nights when you just can't sleep.
Oh, tell me about it. Tossing and turning all night.
Sleep hygiene is so important for those nights. It's about creating an environment and routine that helps you sleep well. Start with a relaxing bedtime routine that tells your body it's time to wind down.
What kind of things are we talking about?
Things that calm your mind and body. A warm bath, reading, listening to calming music, deep breathing exercises, meditation.
Right. It's about creating a peaceful feeling.
Yes. And your bedroom environment matters too. Make sure it's dark, quiet, and cool. Blackout curtains, earplugs, a white noise machine, whatever you need.
Like making a sleep sanctuary.
Yeah.
A place to escape the world and just rest.
Exactly. And remember what we said about blue light?
Yeah.
That's especially important in the evening. It can really mess with your sleep. So make a rule. No screens for at least an hour before bed. Put your phone away, turn off the TV, dim the lights.
It's like a digital detox.
Exactly. Disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you have to use your devices, try a blue light filter or those blue light blocking glasses.
Good tips. Okay, this is a big one. The weekend, sleep in. We work so hard all week to stick to our routine, but then the weekend comes and all we want to do is sleep in.
I hear you. It's tempting, right?
All right. How do we handle the weekend without totally ruining our progress?
Again, it's about balance. It's great to sleep in a little, but try to keep your wake-up time within an hour or two of your weekday wake-up time.
Okay.
This helps keep your internal clock consistent and prevents you from feeling totally jet-lagged on Monday morning.
That makes sense. So enjoy the weekend, but don't totally abandon your routine.
Right. And if you do sleep in later than usual, don't stress about it.
Okay, good.
Just get back on track the next day.
Yeah.
One late morning doesn't mean the whole weekend is ruined. Remember, what matters is consistency over time.
It is. So we've talked about the immediate benefits of early rising, getting more done, better focus, feeling happier. But what about the long-term effects? Does it really make a difference in the grand scheme of things?
It really can. Studies have shown that people who wake up early tend to be more proactive, goal-oriented, and resilient. They also tend to have better mental health, lower stress levels, and even stronger relationships.
It's amazing that something as simple as changing when you wake up can have such a huge impact on your whole life.
It really is. It shows how connected our physical, mental, and emotional well-being are.
So what makes successful early risers different? What do they do that helps them make it work?
They're often very disciplined and organized people who are intentional with their time and energy. They have a clear vision for their day and are mindful about how they spend their mornings.
So it's more than just waking up. It's about having a plan and knowing how to make the most of that time.
Exactly. And they often have really good morning routines that set them up for success.
Yeah.
They prioritize things that nourish their mind, body, and soul, whether it's exercise, meditation, journaling, or just having a peaceful cup of coffee and connecting with their loved ones.
That sounds like a recipe for an amazing day.
It is. And it's something anyone can do if they're willing to put in the effort.
I think a lot of this comes down to mindset, right?
Absolutely. Our mindset is everything. If we tell ourselves we're not morning people, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Right.
But if we approach it with a positive attitude and believe we can do it, we're much more likely to succeed.
It's a changing the story we tell ourselves.
Exactly. It's about having a growth mindset and embracing the challenges that come with trying new things.
Because challenges are going to happen, right?
They are, and that's okay. Setbacks are normal. The important thing is to learn from them and keep going,
I love that. It's about the journey, not just the destination.
right? So tell me, what are some things people say after they've successfully become early risers?
Oh, that's a good question.
What themes do you see in their stories?
It's so inspiring to hear how early rising has changed their lives. They talk about how it's helped them achieve their goals, improve their health, and just live more fulfilling lives.
Mhm.
They often say that having that quiet time in the morning allows them to focus on their passions, build businesses, write, create art, even make a difference in the world.
That's incredible. It's like they unlock this secret power when they start waking up early.
It is. It's not magic, but it does give them the time and space to focus on what matters most before the craziness of the day starts. It's like making their dreams a priority.
So we've talked a lot about the benefits for individuals, but I'm wondering about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What role does early rising play in society as a whole? Historically, it's been seen as a good thing, but is that still true today?
It's an interesting question. In the past, early rising was linked to being disciplined, productive, and successful.
Uh-huh.
And those things are still important, but I think our understanding of early rising has changed a bit.
How so?
Well, we live in a world where everything is fast-paced and we're always connected, so there's more emphasis now on rest and balance. Early rising isn't seen as the only way to be successful anymore.
It's about finding what works for you, what fits your needs and your life.
It's about finding that balance between getting things done and taking care of ourselves.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that everyone's journey is different. What works for one person might not work for someone else.
It's about honoring who we are and finding a path that helps us feel good and contribute to the world.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's talk about different types of early risers.
Okay.
Are there different ways to approach this? How do we find what works best for us?
There's definitely no one-size-fits-all approach. Some people love having a super structured routine, while others like to be more flexible. The key is to try different things and see what feels good and what you can stick with.
Makes sense. So how do we figure out what will work for us?
Think about your personality, your lifestyle, and your goals. Do you like routine and predictability, or do you prefer being spontaneous? Why do you want to wake up early? What do you want to do with that extra time?
So it's about self-awareness and knowing what motivates us.
Exactly. And be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses.
Uh-huh.
Some people are naturally early birds, while others find it harder.
Right.
So it's about working with your natural tendencies and finding a way that feels right for you.
So we've talked about finding a routine that works, but how do we balance that with our social lives? Most of our friends and family probably aren't going to bed as early as we are.
It's a good question. It's all about communication and compromise. Talk to your friends and family about your goals and why this is important to you.
Okay.
They might be more supportive than you think. And remember, you can always suggest doing things that fit your schedule better, like meeting for a hike or brunch instead of a late dinner.
So find a middle ground that works for everyone.
Right. Be respectful of your own needs while also being considerate of the people in your life. And your friends will want you to be happy and healthy, even if it means changing some plans.
That's true. And you never know, you might even inspire them to try early rising too.
Maybe. So to wrap things up, let's go back to the bigger picture. How early rising can really change your life.
Okay.
We've talked about the benefits, but it's important to remember that this can impact your well-being in a lasting way. It can affect your physical health, how clear your thinking is, how you handle stress, and even your relationships.
Wow. It's like early rising sets off a chain reaction of positive changes.
Exactly. It gives you the space to connect with yourself, explore your passions, and take care of yourself.
It's like giving yourself the gift of time and energy.
It is.
Yeah.
And it reminds you that you have the power to create the life you want, one morning at a time.
I love that. So inspiring.
It is. And it reminds you that you have the power to create the life you want, one morning at a time.
I love that. So inspiring. Okay, so we've covered a ton of tips and strategies for making early rising stick.
We have.
But life is unpredictable. How do we deal with those unexpected things that pop up and mess with our plans? How do we stay committed to our routine when things don't go perfectly?
You have to be flexible. Having a plan is great, but being able to adapt is just as important.
Right.
So if something unexpected comes up, don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge it, make adjustments, and get back on track as soon as you can.
So it's about rolling with the punches and finding ways to make early rising work even when our schedules get crazy.
Exactly. It's all about finding a rhythm that fits your life no matter what's going on.
It's about progress, not perfection.
You got it. And remember, consistency over time is what really matters.
So true. I always love hearing about people who have used early rising to achieve amazing things.
Indeed.
What are some of the common themes you see in their stories? What can we learn from their experiences?
It's so inspiring to hear how they've used early rising to change their lives. They talk about the incredible focus and productivity they have in the morning and how it's helped them chase their dreams, start businesses, write books, create art, you name it.
It's amazing. Early rising seems to give them this extra edge, almost like a superpower.
Right. It's not magic, but it creates the space for those things to happen.
Yeah.
It gives them the time and energy to focus on what's truly important before the day runs away with them.
It's about prioritizing those passions and making them happen. We've talked about individual benefits, but what about the bigger picture?
Okay.
What role does early rising play in society? Is it still seen as a virtue like it was in the past?
That's a good question. Early rising used to be linked with discipline, productivity, and success.
Uh-huh.
And those things are still valued, but our view of early rising has probably shifted a bit.
How so?
Well, we live in a world that's go, go, go all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we're starting to understand that rest and balance are super important too. Early rising isn't the only key to success anymore.
Right.
It's about finding a rhythm that works for you, that respects your needs and preferences.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, being productive, but also taking care of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everyone's different and what works for one person might not work for another.
It's about being ourselves and finding a path that leads to personal happiness and contributes to the world around us.
I like that.
Let's talk about the different ways people approach early rising.
Okay.
Are there different types of early risers? How do we find what works best for us?
There isn't just one way to do this.
Right.
Some people love a super structured routine. Others prefer a more flexible approach. The most important thing is to experiment and figure out what feels good and what you can keep up long term.
So how do we choose the right approach?
Start by thinking about your personality, your lifestyle, and your goals. Do you like having a set routine, or are you more spontaneous?
Yeah.
What are your reasons for wanting to become an early riser? What do you want to achieve with that extra time?
It's about getting to know ourselves and what really motivates us.
Exactly. Be honest about your strengths and weaknesses, too.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are natural morning people, others not so much.
That's true.
It's about working with those tendencies and finding what feels right for you.
Okay, this is something I've wondered about.
What's that?
How do we keep up with our social legs if we're going to bed earlier than our friends and family? Especially if we're used to going out late or having late-night get-togethers.
Communication is key.
Okay.
Let your loved ones know about your goals and why this is important to you. They might be more understanding than you expect.
Right.
You can also suggest alternative activities that work better with your new schedule, like a morning hike or brunch instead of dinner.
So it's about finding that balance, taking care of ourselves, but also nurturing our relationships.
Exactly. It's about respecting your needs and being considerate of the people you care about.
And true friends will want to support you, even if it means changing plans sometimes.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe they'll even try early rising too.
Never know. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's come back to how powerful early rising can be.
Okay.
We've talked about the benefits, but I think it's important to remember how much this can improve our lives overall.
It's true. Early rising can make a difference in so many areas. Your physical health, your mental clarity, how well you cope with stress, even your relationships.
It's like a domino effect of positive changes.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that even small changes can lead to huge results if you're consistent.
Well said. I'm feeling super motivated to try this and see what happens.
I'm glad. It's a journey, not a race. So be patient with yourself, enjoy the ride, and celebrate every step you take.
That's great advice. As we close out this episode, we want to leave you with one last question to think about. What if simply changing when you wake up could unlock more time, more energy, more possibilities in your life? What would you do with those extra hours? What dreams would you chase? What difference could you make? The potential is truly limitless when you harness the power of early rising. Until next time, happy waking.